Monday Morning Racer Live. Hello, I'm Lee Kraft, the host right here on Between the Slicks, the Monday Morning Racer platform, drag racing centric show. And we like to talk about it all in the world of drag racing right here on Between the Slicks, from the National Hot Rod Association to the International Hot Rod Association to the drag and drive crowd, which we will be talking about on this installment of Between the Slicks with the man that knows about drag and drive, and that is Mr. Michael Narks with Drag, Repeat, and Drive. I think I said that right. Did I say that right? Did I say it right, Mark? Or did I get it wrong? I might have got it wrong. We'll correct it here in just a few moments. We might even dive in on the trademark story. That's a whole tale in of itself. He could write a book. Maybe he can't say anything. That might be a part of it. I don't know. But we're going to talk about the great segment that is drag racing, Drag and Drive. Oh, maybe 2-3 years ago now, I was able to cover Hot Rod Drag Week as part of the live streaming team and creating content that would be these little newsreels, in essence, on the live stream. To see the granddaddy of them all for the Drag and Drive guys, it was phenomenal to see what takes place in these type of events. And I really feel that this segment of drag racing is one of those segments of drag racing that has brought hot rodding and brought drag racing and put them back together. They used to be almost, in essence, the same. And then as time progressed, they diverged and became really their own things. And nothing wrong with that. But the drag and drive scene has really infused them back together. It is such a great part of drag racing and truly is unique. And we are in a day and time in drag racing and in the drag and drive scene that it continues to absolutely explode. I remember that there was a time that Hot Rod Drag Week was it. That is certainly not the case anymore. It has got sick, if you know what I mean, and people have went back to the streets, if you know what I mean, and some have even got kind of, sick on the Smokies and beyond throughout the scene in North America and even internationally. Drag and Drive is absolutely hot right now. This word from McKinney Corp, who presents Between the Slicks. Also a word from Taylor Motorsports Products. And then we'll have Mr. Michael Narks on and chat with him concerning drag and drive.
McKinney Motorsports is your #1 source for all your chassis needs. McKinney Motorsports is the leading chassis parts supplier and fabricator in nitro drag racing. From custom tanks and fittings, full chassis builds, body mounts, steering components, fasteners, tabs, clamps, composite parts, and much more. Our household name in the racing world guarantees added performance on the track. Join our list of proven winners that spans over 50 years of racing experience. Taylor Motorsports Products is your first stop for quality safety equipment for your car or your driver. All of our safety equipment products are made in our facility in Albany, Oregon. From custom fit fire suits to racing seat belts, supercharger restraints, engine diapers, transmission blankets, and many other must-have items. Our racing history runs deep. We are racers building the finest safety equipment for racers. And we're a proud supporter of the chaos.
Michael, man, good to see you at PRI. Even better to see you right here with Drag, Drive, Repeat on Between the Slicks and the Monday Morning Racer platform. First of all, introduce yourself. Let people know where they can follow you and what it is you all yak up about.
Oh, man. Hey, so my name is Mike Narks. I am the host of the Drag, Drive, Repeat show, which happens on Wednesday nights, which is a 2-hour plus guest news updates, all that kind of stuff on everything Drag and Drive. That's all we do, all we focus on at Drag, Drive, Repeat. And then usually, I think Eric White just posted in or just messaged me, said he'll be here just a few minutes as well. But on Saturday morning, so tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, we kick off what we call the Drag, Drive, Repeat News. Both of those shows presented by Summit Racing. And we basically just for an hour hammer through all of the updates. So 3 hours a week, we're live right here on wherever you're watching this. You're seeing it. We're live talking about drag and drive racing, racers, stars, stats, events, news that's coming up. We call ourselves the source for news and entertainment from the drag and drive community. So that's it, man. That's what we do. I live and breathe and sleep it just like you do, man.
You and Eric, the team there, absolutely are the source. If you want to know what's happening in the world of drag and drive, just go by drag, drive, repeat, and you are definitely going to get the scoop. So before we go any further, I've obviously got an audience that they may be familiar with drag and drive. Some of them may have never attended an event, and some may be brand new to it, and definitely want to take the time and educate folks. So
for sure.
Drag and drive as we bring in Eric. Eric, welcome to the show. Good to have you along. Clue us in on what it is, and I'm going to post some photos from y'all's site, and people can kind of get an idea, because it's very strange, but yet it's a beautiful thing.
Well, to be honest, hey, I'm glad Eric's in here. This will be fun. Drag and drive is essentially what everybody did in the 70s. You know, in your intro, you were talking about kind of how times have changed. Well, everybody built fun race cars. That was what they built. Whatever they could do to go faster. So they bought trucks and trailers and all that kind of stuff. And then once they made a car unstreetable anymore, it became not as much fun. Let's just say that, right? Well, like these shots here, this is Mega Week. This is a 600 car, 1,400 or 1,300 mile trip along public highways in cars like this. This is a pro mod built by the Mackey family. I mean, underneath this at one time was literally a 41 Willys Pro Mod. They put this Fairlane or Falcon wagon body on top of, and they now use it as their drag and drive car. This car has a inline 6-cylinder 300 Ford engine with like a 80 millimeter turbo on it. Runs low eights, and they cruise. You can see the camper in behind it there. They pull the camper on these trips that they're taking with us. It's really become one of the most fun styles of being in your car, being around cars that I've ever experienced. What about you, Eric?
Oh man, you nailed it. Like, obviously you guys know, or that know me, I had bought a Mustang that was originally just going to be a track car, just like you said. But the more we got into doing this drag and drive stuff and thinking about driving a car, you know, for a weekend, if it's an 8-second car and you make, you know, 5 passes, you know, what's that, 40 seconds for the weekend? You know, so being able to get it out on the streets and drive it around was just so appealing that I actually converted the car now, and it's going to be a drag and drive car. And the goal of it really is to just get these cool cars that sit in people's garages out on the street. I mean, all of us love to drive our cars. That's why we typically build the cars. And seeing them go down the highway is just incredible. You know, seeing pro mods pulling trailers going down the highway, like, you get the greatest looks from people, smiles, waves. Like, it's an absolute blast, like you said.
It is. That time that I covered Hot Rod Drag Week was spectacular, from the highlights of Lowe's and the checkpoints and everything that's involved. It is such a great scene. With mentioning again Hot Rod Drag Week, guys, give us the landscape right now of events in drag and drive. What is the U.S. Nationals, if you will, the Indianapolis 500, the Daytona 500 of drag and drive? And then what are the budding grassroots movements that are popular right now?
Yeah, so I'll take this one real quick, and I'm sure Eric will jump in too. But the OG, the granddaddy of them all, Hot Rod Drag Week, still kind of holds that top tier. There's still guys that, if you had, everybody says at the U.S. Nationals, you may have won a championship in NHRA, but if you hadn't won the Nationals, you hadn't done anything, right? So Drag Week is still the granddaddy. It is the one. It typically has more than any others. But what we're coming up on here in, Eric, how many days? 8 days, 9 days, something like that, is coming up on Sick Week, which is, since 2022, become, I mean, it's a USA Today #1 voted motorsport event. all kinds of accolades. But it is where the fastest cars are going to be again in 9 days. Racing in Florida, they're going to be at Bradenton after this event. I mean, come on, like how good is the track going to be? We're starting at Gainesville. We're going to be in Orlando. We're going to be at South Georgia Motorsports Park. Crazy. We're looking at historic events happening right here. We're moving into the third decade of drag and drive events, and those two right now are the top tier. I would say like fast car stuff. There are a lot of fun car stuff, I would say as well. Like Rocky Mountain Race Week is back in the mountains this year, so Rocky Mountain Race Week takes its name back, right? So they're going to be Great Bend, Kansas. They're opening that track back up. They're going to Pueblo. They're going to drive around the mountains, the literal Rocky Mountains in hot rods. One rule that's really cool about Rocky Mountain is your trailer has to have brakes. So if you're towing a hot rod trailer, like the pictures you were just showing, you have to have brakes on that thing. So pretty cool out there. And that kind of gets us through the main ones. There's a total of like 13 national level events, which Eric and I have kind of deemed with events more than 4 days, 100 plus racers typically, things like that, right? These regional events, though, you hinted at people going back to the streets. This is a no prep drag and drive, arm drop, flashlight starts, no time, winner only, like, it's based winners race winners, losers race in a losers bracket. I mean, it's really kind of a crazy deal. Matt Lang runs that event. We have our own event this 8th year in a row now. We're doing the circuit, which is a charity-based drag and drive, which is a 3-day deal. We're doing Tulsa, Oklahoma to Oklahoma City, Thunder Valley, and then back. It's very easy, 300 miles, 3 days of racing, 300 cars basically. So man, it's all over the place. Like you've got an event called Heads Up Hustle, which does 2 days of drag and drive racing. And then that sets a ladder for a heads up elimination on the final day. Like, man, there's so many cool formats that are being tested right now. It's really one of the coolest times to be in this whole community.
Yeah. And right now we're really getting into even some of the feeder ones with the 1-day stuff. We're kicking off our first round of single day events. So Mike's putting a lot of those on with Tulsa. So there's like Mike had mentioned, you've got the regional stuff, you've got the national stuff, and now you've kind of got some of these 1-day stuff where drag and drive, same concept. You get to the track in the morning, make passes, turn in your time slips, go on a drive, come back, make more passes, and then that will set your average. So still that same drag and drive concept of race, drive, race, but now it's kind of getting into some of those single days because not everybody can do a week-long event like Sick Week or even some of their one-off events that are like 10 days long. So the regional stuff and the single day stuff is really a great way for people to get into drag and drive.
Drag racing does not have a diversity issue with all the different types of drag racing that there is under the term drag racing. And it's great now that drag and drive has so much diversity. Mm-hmm. At one time it was Hot Rod Drag Week, and then you've got, Rocky Mountain. And then it seems like it has just absolutely exploded in, I would say, at least by the time I've been watching, and it has really been on my radar the last 5 years. And, Back to the Streets, I'm excited that we've got them coming by McKinney Corp as a check-in spot. They visited us at PRI, and we're like, heck yeah, we'd love to have you all come by. As different as that is from what McKinney Corp does with Nitro Funny Cars and Top Fuel Dragsters, nonetheless, all of these things come together, and they need a fab source just as much as anyone else. And it's just cool in the drag racing world. So we're looking forward to having them swing by McKinney Corp and be a check-in. And speaking of that culture of check-ins, what are some of the check-ins from last year you all that recall that were top? I've got a photo of, I hope it was a check-in. It's a Waffle House. That needs to be a check-in for every drag and drive event. But what a great photo this is. Definitely represents drag racing and racers. I don't know how many times I've left the track, and I'm definitely going by Waffle House, not just because I like it, but it's the only thing that's left open. But yes, check-ins.
Man, some of the we're called route stops over here in Drag and Drive world, and actually that's my old truck in that photo there. So thank you for picking that, Eric. Crushed it with that photo. But Waffle House, near and dear to our heart. I mean, you can kind of see, if I could turn around, you can see the back of this shirt. This is what we call our favorite restaurant shirt. So we don't get in trouble, but it has a similarity to that restaurant as well because of the same thing, right? Every time we host an event, there is a Waffle House somewhere in the mix. Just for that reason, if you're eating it at 2 a.m. or you're eating it at 2 p.m., it's the same food. It's not the same cook generally. That 2 a.m. cook, he's it's a good time in there at 2 a.m. a lot of times. But we love that place, and route stops are really becoming one other reason drag and drives are so fun, because you have so many reasons to take another picture of your car. It's not just in a parking lot full of regular daily driver cars. It's I don't know. There's so many route stops we stopped at this year. Eric, run through a couple of your favorites, man.
Yeah, so obviously, Dad and I did Sick Summer this year. So one of the cool places that I had never been to is Motion Raceworks, and obviously they're a big part in a lot of drag and drive, especially the Sick stuff. So that was a route stop that I was really excited to go to. Got a tour of the facility. Some of the other ones, the Auto Museum here in Roscoe, again, local to me. Sick Summer is local to me, but it's always cool seeing the cars there. And route stops that encourage trailer burnouts are fantastic. And both of those route stops encouraged trailer burnout. So that was a ton of fun. Mega Week, we had a ton of route stops. And if we wanted to talk about Mega Week, what you and I did was absolutely ridiculous in the cart, and basically a tsunami with no windows, no doors, or nothing. But it's all about the adventure. Sick the Mag says that it's about the adventure, and that really is what it is. And you and I had a blast doing that, even though it was miserable in the moments. But the stories that we got out of that were just fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and I can
art was
remember Hot Rod
incredible.
Drag Week, the stories just from it. The first day there at Worldwide Technologies Raceway that year, tried to get it all in and see it and experience it, yet talk to some of the names I kind of had to talk to. Tom Bailey was there and Alex Taylor, get those interviews. But I leave the track and Blasphemy is still sitting in the parking lot. And Finnegan, as usual, broke. And he's trying to work on this and salvage his Hot Rod Drag Week. And, well, he was not going to be able to do so, and got that all together and put it together and sent it to Warren Evans for the live stream the next day. And, creates a story, because I had to drive all night from outside of St. Louis to Indianapolis. I barely covered anything on the next day because I had to cover what would be a big breaking part of the story. And it just continues to unfold in stories, how later on that week he comes back and things are better. Obviously he's out of it, but he wants to take the car down the track and stuff like that. I remember, that one, he had Larry Dixon in it with his
Nova,
his Chevy, and right. And, here's this legend of drag racing, burning nitromethane in a top fuel dragster, but yet he's enjoying and partaking in drag and drive. So it is such a popular, growing, exploding segment. It is great to see that the National Hot Rod Association recognizes it. And you've got the connection that they've had at Route 66 Raceway with bringing in some of the well-known people and showcasing drag and drive. When it comes to events, you all already mentioned the one-day event. That's very intriguing to me because, well, drag and drive, we think of it, or at least I think of it, I think of multiple days. Oh, yeah. But yet, from what I've already heard, it kind of reminds me of the old street rodder days, the old, streetcar days of you got to go that 30-mile circuit before you can ever put your car on the track. So, one, give us the clue in on one-day drag and drive events. Give us some examples. And what about this one that's going across country?
Yeah. So let's start with single day stuff. For Drag Drive Repeat, our format has always been a traditional drag and drive format that Drag Week and Freiburger and all those guys set up more than 20 years ago now. We want to see people race their car, make the best possible pass they can, then drive that thing on the street and then race again, right? So that is our format for single day. We have 3 events hosted at Tulsa this year. You can find it at dragdriverpete.com/street and strip series. And then events like Drop the Hammer, who have an event in Michigan that they're calling Judgment Day. They're going to set up at a parking lot, unload all the cars, tech them, do all that stuff there, and then drive to the track, make passes, and then drive back to the starting point with the racer party at the end, kind of do a fun hangout day, right? You have those kind of formats. So we're really in a new era of drag and drive where people are trying a lot of different formats. Again, back to the streets, doing the heads up deal where, if you win your side by side race, you get to race tomorrow with the winner from another race. They have so many classes in that. But there's all these different formats that are going on within that. The single day deal, I want to stress this is really important because this isn't a true street class. Do not change your true street class name to drag and drive simply because you have to do a drive. Okay. You can format it however you want to, but please keep some of the traditional spots in there, like at least drive 50 or 60 miles. Don't just drive 30 miles and call yourself a drag and drive, because we're seeing that as well, right? We're seeing a lot of classes kind of trade from the name, and it's a 10-mile loop basically is what they're driving, and that's anybody can make a 10-mile loop. You can put a 2-gallon fuel cell in there, run methanol, no radiator, and make it 10 miles.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point, Michael. I don't like that move. Like,
right.
Yeah, if you're going to do drag and drive,
be about it.
It needs to be about it. And look, again, nothing against the classic format, if you will. I mean, I love that years ago, but if it is just going to be 10, 20 miles, that is not enough. That is not drag and drive.
True street.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And for us, I mean, Eric and I have had lots of conversations about this as we were beginning to build this street and strip series deal. And, it's the 100th anniversary of Route 66. So you got to do stuff. Well, I'm part of Tulsa Raceway Park, their social media side. And so if you're going to do it, you got to do Route 66. You got to cruise it. So, again, our single day stuff is driving. We're going to drive about 60 miles. We've got 3 route stops along the way. So that 60 miles is 2 or 2.5 hours of driving, to be honest. And I'll let Eric tell some about the Great American Detour, which is being hosted by a guy that is we call him Camp Counselor Bob, which is a program we started at the circuit. Basically, we wanted these guys that are camping to have the same experience as a parking lot party that you got at some of the hotels on Drag Week. So I'll let Eric tell some of the stuff about Great American Detour.
Yeah, so this kind of came out as just an idea that Robert had been talking about, and he pitched it to us, and we're like, you gotta run with this. This is pretty cool. Again, the 100th anniversary of Route 66. So his idea was start in New York and drive across the country to California. So then wanting to keep that in drag and drive spirit, obviously there needed to be some drag racing in there. So he's kind of put some rules together, and you can find a lot of this stuff on Facebook, the Great American Detour. That's kind of where everything is being ran right now, but it is truly a free entry. So there's no cost to join into it. It's start in New York, and you're going to work your way across at your own pace. And there is no true route that you have to follow. You kind of pick your own route. Now there's going to be some preferred routes, and obviously there's a lot of Route 66 across there. So a lot of people are going to be going on that, but you don't have to be at a certain place at a certain time, but there are things that you have to accomplish across the week. So you've got to make 4 different passes at 4 different drag strips. I believe, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a drag strip in a different state as well, correct?
Yeah, you have to have at least 3 states on your checklist.
Yep. And then one of the other things that was really cool is as you go through states, you need to collect a piece of memorabilia from that state as you go across it. And that's just a way to, one, help the local communities as we're driving across country, especially kind of those small town places along Route 66, having cool cars go through there and pick up, automotive related memorabilia. And you get to end the week with some really cool stuff across the states. But this is going to be pretty intense. Robert really wasn't sure what kind of interest he was going to get for this because it truly is a big event. I think it's Mike, you have the dates offhand. I know it ends on the 4th of July, correct?
Yeah, so we're going to start it at on June 27th, and then you've got all week to get across to Modesto. So we'll go LA. You got to end up in LA at the Portofino. So it starts at Red Ball, ends at Portofino, and then we go up to the, I can't remember what they call it, but it's basically the American Graffiti Museum in Modesto, California. So going to be pretty wild. I'm taking my old truck, the one you showed there in front of the Waffle House. I'm going to do it. My grandfather did that trip in that truck. I don't know which route he took, but I'm taking Route 66. So I'm going to cruise from New York to Springfield, Illinois, I think, and then grab 66 and drive it all the way out, which is a trip I've wanted to do forever. It's the 100th anniversary, so you got to do something along Route 66 this year. You have to. There's no way around it. You have to do it. So that's my trip plan for it. So it's 6,100 miles total for me.
Wow, that's from where you're at to start New York to end up in LA and then back home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah,
amazing.
So pretty wild. Yeah, it's really going to be fun, and this has spawned a ton of other ideas that he's had. He wants basically. Have you ever heard the term of misogi? Like the hard thing you do each year. It's like something that maybe you can't get it done. It's like a 50-50 chance that you can even complete it. This has kind of become his thing. He wants to do something very hard, and as a man, I'm a 45-year-old man in March. I'm looking for that difficult thing, and I think this is what's going to be that for me this year. So
sounds like it's going to be a spectacular event. This one, again, this drag and drive does something that, like right now, they're running pro mods there for the U.S. Street Nationals, Bradenton, Florida, second race of Drag Illustrated Winter Series, and it's even on Amazon Prime today and only today. Man, that is great. What a platform
it's
for drag
all
racing.
I've
What a
today.
spectacular show. So many great things. We've got a 352nd all field qualified. I mean, spectacular.
Insanity. Yeah.
But as great as that is, it is really just drag racing. And what I mean by that, when you talk about the event you just mentioned in the Great American Detour, you've got drag racing, yes, but you have so much Americana and car culture all intertwined for something that is really, truly unique.
Well, and speaking on that, because I just had this thought as you were saying that, right? There's guys, Keith Haney is, him and I work together daily on Tulsa stuff and Midwest Drag Race Series stuff. But when that guy leaves the track, he's driving a Chevy Spark because that's what fits in the trailer. Okay. When we leave the track as a drag and drive, guys like Tom Bailey, Bryant Goldstone, he's driving a 53 Corvette Pro Mod to the gas station. Like that's literally what it is. So when people see 2 or 3 cool cars pass them, and then they see 5 or 6 at a gas station that are kind of cool, they're like, what's going on? What's happening here? Especially in a place like the Southeast this week, this next weekend, they're going to begin to see that everywhere. And I think that's why this has done so well, because it is completely new and different than everybody's seen. Before really social media, you had Drag Week. That was it. For 10 years, that was all that was there. And it had one magazine coverage a year. That was it. So you had 12 months of the year, but you had one Hot Rod magazine that covered this event. So if you weren't near Hot Rod Drag Week, you didn't have a chance to see any of that. Now there were 53 events scheduled in 2025. 48 happened. And now we are already up to what, Eric, 46 events, 45 events on the schedule for 2026, and we're 3 weeks into the year. So there are last year 4,500 cool cars that drove on the street somewhere in the world for one of these drag and drive events. You can't say that about Nitro Funny Cars. You can't say that about Pro Mods most of the time. You can't say that about the stuff that we see when people are doing drag and drives, like Six Smokies you mentioned earlier. Think of the people that were on Tail of the Dragon on motorcycles, because that's what you typically see on that stuff. And here comes 200 plus hot rods past you. Are you kidding me? like, what is happening here? Like, how much fun would that have been? And I'm telling you, I had serious FOMO for Six Monkeys. I should have just went, man. I should have went. Oh,
And
man.
you really hit on it when you said across the world too. Like this isn't just a US thing. It is growing all across the world. We've got events in Australia, events in Sweden, events in Canada. It really is grown to be a worldwide thing. So Mike, what's the number of events that are outside the US? It's like 10 or 12 now total.
Oh, it'll be more than that. I think we're probably, well, actually, maybe you're probably right because there's 7 or 8 in Australia now. There's one in the UK. There's one in Sweden. There's ones that are being worked on there should be another one that should be announced here in a couple of weeks in Sweden. There's 7 in Canada. I mean, they're all over. There's an event in Alaska.
Right.
I never ever thought they have one racetrack. So they do the racetrack. They drive more than a day to get to the next airstrip. They make passes at the airstrip, and then a full other day and a half to get back to Alaska Speedway and make their passes there. It's called Alaska Speed Week. That's why I got that all mixed up. But there's all these ideas that are going on, and I love it. I love to see all the stuff that's happening.
It is amazing how, again, it is absolutely exploding, and the fever for drag and drive is being caught seemingly everywhere, right here stateside in North America and beyond. I like how drag racing now has its endurance racing to some extent. Right now we've got the Daytona 24-hour taking place, the Rolex Daytona 24-hour, one of the crown jewels of endurance racing. And drag racing was always locked into how quick and how fast can I go while winning. And drag and drive gives a different twist. And as I have said, brings back in hot rodding to where, what is a street car today? I mean, I really feel like drag and drive has pushed that argument further than any other segment of drag racing or racing. What is a street car? I mean, does it have air conditioning? Like, we got to start really splitting hairs here on what they are, because like, I know what, Bailey's got technically is legal on the street, but it ain't no street car. He
drives 1,000 miles. That's a street car. That's a street car. Here's the way I look at it. If you can put 100 miles on it in a day, that's a street car. Now
it's daily level. It is.
Yeah. My brother jokes that there's a lot of people that have town cars, which they just cruise their car to Sonic for a cruise night. They don't ever take it out of town, but they call them street cars. I think he's got it figured out there. Town car is the way there, but yeah, street car, man, 100 miles in a day. I feel like that's right up our alley.
I think one of the things that we haven't touched on yet is really the roadside repairs. Like that's what has been absolutely crazy. So if somebody breaks something, they don't just put it on a trailer and call it a week. They're in a hotel parking lot. They're on the side of the interstate. They're at an O'Reilly's and they're pulling transmissions. We've seen countless engine swaps. We've seen rebuilds. We've seen Goldstone have the engine out and have the head welded up and recut. Like, that is the crazy part, is the amount of work that people will do just to finish the race, and the support from other racers, which you don't always get in drag racing. If you're in the same class and this guy may be ahead of you and he's on the side of the road and he needs an LS head gasket and you have one in your trailer, you're going to give it to him so that he can keep going and get to the next track or complete the week. This community is amazing when it comes to helping each other out and making sure people finish. We had Thomas West on our show on Wednesday night, who had never done a drag and drive event before and drives really fast stick shift stuff. And he made a comment like, this really wasn't something that I was interested in because the drive stuff, like, I don't really want to work on my car that much. And he ended up doing it and had to, he had a couple repairs. I can't remember. One of them was an issue with the drive shaft. I think the other one was an axle, but still completed the event. And when he got back, there was cheers and applause for him completing the event. And he said that was something that he had never really felt before in drag racing, and really hooked him into it. So the community is just incredible when it comes to that.
Yeah. And again, I think it's one of the it's the hardness that we look for now. For a lot of people, they're trying to find something that they haven't done before, and that's what this allows. One thing that you were thinking that made me think of how much harder this is too is imagine going on vacation, and every day you've picked a different hotel. So every day you're driving your car, you're packing, you're unpacking. You have to completely take everything out of your car every day at the racetrack, make your pass, put everything back in your car, and then drive to the hotel, move everything that you feel like is unsafe into the hotel, and then put it back in the morning, drive to the track. I mean, like, I love it, man. It's so crazy to think how much just trying to put it in perspective for people at home. So next time you go on vacation, unpack and pack every day like you're moving into a new hotel.
Yeah. And I think the other really cool thing that has blown up in the last few years is the racer parties, which is something that you and I have done the last few years. And we really put a focus on a pre-party, feeding everybody before the event starts, because you don't realize how much time you don't have to do those things, like sit down and eat a meal on a drag and drive. And especially if you have any kind of troubles, you're getting to the hotel at 2, 3 in the morning and getting up at 6 and heading to the racetrack. So we like to do a huge pre-party, feed people. We do a party in the middle of the event. Like this year for the circuit, we're doing go-karts, which was a huge hit 2 years ago when we did that. So we're starting to see it a lot more with other events, as these parties, especially with regional events where it's a little more laid back and it's more to have fun and bring people into the community. But I love seeing the different racer parties that have been put together over the last couple of years.
So speaking of Goldstone, the year in which I did Hot Rod Drag Week, I chose the second day after I'd covered nothing at Indy because I was so tired from the first day and driving all night, because Blasphemy was, well, broke again.
Yeah.
I decided to tail a car, and I'm like, first car that comes up that I see leaving the track, I'm telling them. And it happened to be the Javelin.
How cool.
Now, at that time, it had its doors off, or at least one, and they're driving down the road with a door off strapped to the back, and they had some overheating issue. You all know something always seems to happen in a drag and drive event. But he made a change, even though he is, well, technically the champ in his program, from the Javelin to a new hot rod. So we got a photo of the Javelin. There's a Javelin. That's the one I'm familiar with. And then now the Corvette.
Yeah.
So why the change? What's the scoop on that? And then how bad of a hot rod is this thing?
So history on the Javelin, it's freaking awesome, man. Like, it's next level fast, right? But the quickest they had been in that's like 640s. And to go to the next level in it, it would need just a lot more changes than what they wanted to do. So he's keeping it. It's going on radials. Going to probably run 620s when it's done on a 275 or 315 tire. So that's going to be awesome. It's a big block, twin turbo setup, like most of the top running cars are. And then this new car, it was literally built as a pro mod. It's a NHRA championship winning pro mod from, I think, 2018, 2017, something like that. It kind of made its rounds to a few hands, did some racing, but it's now powered by an SMX that's built by Brian Robbins Racecraft. It's got the best turbos, like the highest quality stainless turbos you can put on there from Stainless Diesel or something like that. But it's a purpose-built machine. It was wired by HCR Innovations, which is Devin Vanderhoof. I mean, like, it doesn't have mirrors on it. It has cameras on the side that, automatically, when you turn the blinker on, they automatically show what's on that side. It is what Tom Bailey says he does it through brute force. So the Javelin was just brute force. How much more power can we make? Can it stick? The the Corvette now is just finesse. I mean, it's the best electronics, the top of the line, everything. It's, a purpose-built car that they will survive the weekend, essentially. The Javelin is a car that they're going to drive, and, it's a driving car, but this Corvette is it's going to be hard on them. And they went out at Drag Week, took second place overall, like out of every car there, took second place, running personal bests in the car that had 3 passes on it before they left the house. So it's what we've needed in the industry for a while. We saw a rash of pro mods, 2016 to 2019. Obviously, Jeff Lutz held the record for a long time. Ned Dunphy knocked that off with his Viper this time. That's kind of a factory wheelbase looking car, but this new Pro Mod at Goldstone is going to be next level. Everything about it's next level. It's all the best parts and pieces, and it's just his way of staying out front. This car is capable of high 5-second quarter-mile passes at 250 plus miles an hour.
And I think that's really what the goal is right now, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. Everybody is chasing that first 5-second average in drag and drive. It's never been done. Tom Bailey holds the only 5-second pass in competition with a 5.99. And I feel that this sick week, that is going to be broken. I think the level of cars that are coming out this year, and to be honest, we thought last year as well that it was going to happen, and it didn't quite get there. But I feel like this year there's so many cars that are 5-second capable, and it's going to be wild. The times are getting quicker and quicker, which we see. And like you mentioned, Ned Dunphy, I think it was a 6:17 was his average at Drag Week. That's the fastest of all time in drag and drive. So it's getting very close to that 5-second average. And I think all of these guys want to be the first person that does it. And that's kind of what they're all going for right now.
It is such a beautiful scene, and beautiful scene with PRI. I don't know if it took place last year. If I remember correctly, the last time we all talked, even right here, this was still in inception mode. Mm-hmm. But congratulations, gentlemen. The rewards are a real thing, and they're out there, and they were handed out. That is so cool to see. And from my understanding, you two and the team spearheaded that, and drag and drive participants are able to get rewards at a place and stage such as PRI.
Oh yeah, the Drag and Drive Awards is something we love. Again, sponsored by Summit with us, man. They are not just sponsors; they're also racers. And this year, 3rd year in a row, Bryant Goldstone has taken the Drag and Drive World Championship, which is a points structure that we put together over a few months of talking to a bunch of different racers and promoters and guys like Tommy, who's in this picture with Summit. Like, they promote and host and present a lot of series, right? So, circle track, drag racing, all that kind of stuff. So these guys are experts in that. So we built an entire point series that it's just gaining traction every year. So within this photo, obviously you have Bryant Goldstone, who scored more points than anybody, went faster than most everybody at more events and all that kind of stuff. But one really cool story that came from this is a guy named Randy Seward, which if folks have followed for a while, they may know him. He runs the Pony Express Fox Body Mustang. That's a twin turbo, small block Ford. He drove this thing like 2,500 miles, making 850 passes in the quarter mile at tracks across the country or something like that. This was like in 2014 or 15. And he took second place, had a real good chance of winning the championship if Bryant hadn't done so well at Drag Week. And just absolute crushes the 850 index class, which we're seeing as an incredible growth for this community, because an 850 car is great. It really looks like a regular car in a parking lot, and then somebody busts off 150 plus mile an hour, quarter mile mile per hour, and then 850 ET. So it's the whole growth of everything has been wild. And so what are some of the other ones we did? Toughest roadside repair. That's a huge trophy that we love giving out because the stories that come along with that.
Road King for who traveled the most, which is another cool story with people like Rich Guido and Trevor Brandon that are, going all over the place, traveling. Rich Guido doesn't own a truck and trailer. So when he goes to a drag and drive event, he drives his car the whole way. So, Road King is another cool one. Drag and Drive Ambassador is another one of my favorite ones. Who is it that is just out there repping drag and drive? Who's out there promoting it and helping this community grow? Those are a couple other of my favorite awards that we give away at PRI.
Yeah. And a great story about Rich Guido and Trevor Brandon and those guys. I mean, they're coming from Canada. We were talking on the show on Wednesday night. Trevor Brandon, their one-way trip is 3,200 miles. One way. That's insane. And they're not driving their car, they're trailering it because they've got to get some tuning done. But they race a 7-second GTR. It's the quickest GTR in all of drag and drive. Crazy. And then Rich Guido drives a 1,700 crank horsepower 65 GTO that weighs 4,000 plus pounds that has gone 830s. His car makes 1,500 wheel horsepower, and he drives it from Canada, puts studded tires on, and he's on his way to Florida right now.
Stick shift at that.
Yeah. 6-speed. He will, if you're cruising at 80, you better be in the right lane when he comes up.
And like Raj is on his way, who just had issues with his pickup truck, which was, rough to see. Glad that they got that fixed. But again, coming from Canada, long drive, these guys are on their way, and of course have troubles with their dailies hauling their race cars down there. But the best thing is, and where I'm going with that story with Raj is, as this community grows, people in all states. And Mike and I talk about this all the time. Raj's truck breaks down, he makes a post, and he's got tons of people connecting him with people wherever he's at and getting help to get his truck fixed so he can make it to sick week. And that's the great thing with this community is wherever we're at, whether it's Mike and I or other racers, as we're traveling across the country to events, if we break down, Mike always says we're usually no more than a couple hours away from somebody that we know that will help us in one way or another, whether that's come get us, whether that's loan us a shop to fix our vehicles or whatever. That's, again, as the community grows and you meet more people, you're always around car people, which is, just awesome.
Well, gentlemen, before we wrap up with you two, thank you again for your time. What is the next event and what is the event to see in 2026?
If you're in the Southeast, you better get to South Georgia Motorsports Park, Gainesville, Orlando, or Bradenton between February 1st and 7th, because Sick Week is coming to town and it's going to be insane. Jeff Lutz is there testing right now. Larry Larson is there in the S10, which we haven't seen in more than 10 years on a drag and drive. So we don't know if we're going to see him at Sick Week. I know he ran some very fast passes during testing for Bradenton. We know Tom Bailey is there. That car is the fastest street car in the world, 263 miles an hour. I mean, insane. For a little while, it was the fastest NHRA car of NHRA Pro Mod out there, and it has a license plate on the back. So those three pretty impressive. Sick Week is really top of the list right now, to be honest. As we move through the year, you'll have events like Sick Summer that'll be in Byron and Cordova and whatever other tracks are up that way. You've got Hot Rod Drag Week, which is doing Byron and Cordova, and then also hitting we'll go back to Worldwide Technology and Route 66 in Chicago. So one of the only times it's going to be open this year is going to be for a drag and drive race. They're hosting day 1 and day 5 in Chicago. Then you've got Rocky Mountain Race Week, which happens in June, early June. Going to be all free for all of you Western guys out there. We're going to be at Great Bend, Kansas, which is finally coming back. I mean, that's been a whole nightmare of a situation. We're doing that. We're doing Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then Mocan and back. So it's going to be kind of cool, about 1,200 miles. And then for all you West Coast guys, Redwood Rally, middle of September. That is an event that my daughter and I are going to. I'm so excited. It is basically the drag week of the West Coast. I mean, it's the only way to put it. They have 300 cars show up. It's going to be insane. And you get to drive on the Pacific Coast Highway, bro. Like, How cool
It's
is
beautiful.
that?
Oh, it's
I mean,
beautiful.
I can't wait. I've never been. Cannot wait. So I'm so ready.
And to piggyback on that, one that I want to bring up is Big Sky Race Week in Montana.
Oh,
That's
man,
another
yeah.
one with just amazing views. Like when you
Yes.
think about Montana, you think about those windy roads, and man, just all the pictures from that one is beautiful. And again, if you're anywhere in the Oklahoma range, our event that we put on, the circuit, if you're around that, come down, check that out. Always tons of fun. But if anybody is looking for events, dragdriverepeat.com/event list -2026. We have all of the events, and as soon as new ones come out, we get them added to the list. So you can see if there's an event anywhere near you that you want to check out.
All right. Gentlemen, look, thank you once again for some time to chat Drag and Drive. And we look forward to getting to one again this year. We'll see. I don't know. I was talking with Michael earlier. I like this one-day event idea.
Yeah.
Maybe I live in Tennessee these days. It'd be neat to start from, east and go west. And, you would go from different time zone. And, Tennessee's long. Like start in at Knoxville Dragway and then go over to like Music City and then end somewhere like Jackson or all the way in Memphis. That'd be a neat drag and drive in one day.
That'd be awesome. I'm telling you, you could really have some fun with that. And one day stuff, I mean, I think you probably better stay pretty close, but 2-day deal, dude, you could race at Jackson in the morning, Nashville in the evening, and then I don't know if you can make it to Memphis for the next day, but you could get real close.
Yeah, I might have to work on that.
Man. Hey, I'm in. We'll help in any way.
I have to work on that. I have to work on that. Gentlemen, look, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
On this great portion of drag racing. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Eric, for your time. Y'all keep it up.
Yeah,
thank you very much for having us, man. We appreciate this a whole lot.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, Eric there, Michael, they are getting it done concerning drag and drive. And be sure to follow them and the work that they are doing over there at Drag Drive Repeat. They've got it on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. Follow them. I noticed here, I think they're at 30,000 followers on Facebook. So go over, get those numbers up for them. And, speaking of numbers, we'll talk about Monday Morning Racer numbers and also some Southeast Gasser Association numbers here in just a few moments, as we also take a look at some drag racing news right after this word from some of our partners here on Between the Slicks.
Bobby Hilton knows how to win on the drag strip. Bobby Hilton knows how to win in hot rodding. Hilton Hot Rods out of the Commonwealth of Virginia builds some of the finest hot rods in the scene of hot rodding. And that's evident with multiple covers from Hot Rod Magazine and prestigious awards such as the Good Guys Hot Rod of the Year. If you want to ride to the hilt in your hot rod, it needs to be a Hilton Hot Rod. Ross Racing Engines of Niles, Ohio built this bad power plant for Tyler Hilton and Team Great Expectations 3, currently #1 qualifier at the 2025 March meet. And whether it's Hemi power or power for your application on dirt track or asphalt short track racing and beyond, even into the hot rodding scene, Ross Racing Engines is your one-stop shop for everything for your power plant. No matter the application, they do nearly everything in-house. They are not outsourcing at Ross. So whether it's racing or rodding, you need Ross Racing Engines.
Back here on Between the Slicks, I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. Thank you to our fine partners such as McKinney Corp presenting this installment of Between the Slicks and Hilton Hot Rods along with Ross Racing Engines, Taylor Motorsports Products, and many more, supporting myself and the show here, Between the Slicks. Thank you all for watching. So let's talk about some numbers. Let me say thank you. We just crossed over 90,000 followers on the Monday Morning Racer Facebook page. So I have not grown the Facebook page as quickly as I could have. I don't like to use some elements that others within the multimedia production world do. And also with work that I do elsewhere, it did slow growth down on the Monday Morning Racer platform, but really got after it towards the end of last year and rolling into this year, and was able to finally get the algorithm working again on the behalf of the Monday Morning Racer Facebook page. And we just crossed over 90,000 followers. So thank you all for that. Speaking of followers, and Dujanay Bland's in the comment section. Thank you for watching, man. Appreciate that. You can follow him at the Not Bland Show, where he talks about stick and ball sports such as the NFL, but he also covers drag racing with the National Hot Rod Association and beyond. He's my co-host on the Competition Plus Power Hour, which airs now 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the CompetitionPlus.com platforms. Be sure to tune in each and every Tuesday night. With mentioning the Southeast Gassers Association and numbers concerning Facebook, just crossed over 200,000 followers for the Southeast Gassers Association. Now, that brand, Sega, has been a wildly popular brand for many, many years. But last year, Leslie Horn said, hey, come on, help us with media. I've helped them with media this year and formed a team. And that team, with some original parts and many new parts, pushed Sega to the best year it's ever had on Facebook. Numbers like this, that years previous, or years prior, rather, excuse me, to 2025, 2024, about 17,500 in growth. The year before that, about 16,000. You start doing the math and averaging it out, that number keeps going down year by year by year, even though it's over 10,000 or over 5,000 as it started from zero up to the point it is now. Picking up things in January last year, 2025, Sega was sitting around 144,000. Within that mark of time, with the help of people like Chris Barrett, Frank Stein's Garage, and then great photo work by Adam Dobbs, the great graphic designs that Stephen Smith, who's over Sega, SoutheastGassersGear.com, and the merch, everybody combined with live streams, over 200,000 now, a year of 60,000 new followers. Very solid growth for the Southeast Gassers Association. So if you're out there and you're looking for a platform to partner with, a platform that is popular, it is worth partnering with Sega right now. It is full steam ahead over there for sure. And looking forward to having an even better year in 2026 for the Southeast Gassers Association as a whole within drag racing. And I think drag racing as a whole is going to have a great year. Speaking of a great year, we're already getting a great start to a great year. From what I understand, we are either near, and when I say near, we're like literally a tick away, or we are going to have a full 3.5 second field for the U.S. Street Nationals there at Bradenton, Florida. I've seen some photos that the bump going into Q3 was a 360 elapsed time. I would not be shocked that we have a field that is comprised entirely of 350 cars for this second race of the Drag Illustrated Winter Series. That is insane. And the performance level of the cars that are there in Florida right now at Bradenton Motorsports Park, the highest level of Pro Mod competitors that there are. Yes, it may be 8th mile drag racing, and as great as NHRA Pro Mod is, the top of the sport and the top in performance, they're in Bradenton right now, and they're showcasing it with what will probably be, if it has not already happened, because I'm not watching qualifying right now, I'm talking to you all fine folks, is a 350 field going into race day. Jason Harris has the opportunity to continue the crusade, if you will, for $1 million put up by Elite Motorsports and Richard Freeman. And he is the only one that has got the opportunity to do that. So Jason Harris and the Party Time Camaro needs to be able to win to continue the hope going into race 3 of earning $1 million. Hey, speaking of money, been able to put out a few memes on social media on the Monday Morning Racer Facebook page. I think I'm going to do Meme Monday from now on and take some elements in motorsports and meme them up and get a laugh or two out of them and stir the pot a little bit. Money or prestige? I posed that question once, and I think we've got it again. What does the drag racer do right now? Do they go after one of those fancy colored Wallies for the 75th year of the National Hot Rod Association? Or do they go for the money from the International Hot Rod Association? Look, I'll say this. In the comment section of that post, really what I was looking for were the people that expressed, I'm going to do both. And I think that's really where we should be as media and competitors and participants, fans. Recognize that both have their place in the sport. You've got the NHRA going into its 75th season. There are not many sports bodies going into year 75. There are way more sports bodies that fold well before year 75, year 50, year 25, year 10, year 5. It is a beautiful thing that we've got this element of drag racing with all of its ups and downs that it has had and all of the alphabet soup used in the naming of different bodies to race in within drag racing that have existed, faltered, and failed and no longer exist, that we've got right now, the NHRA going into year 75. That is beautiful. And then also it's a beautiful sight to see what's happening in the International Hot Rod Association with its revival and that it's real. You know, this time last year, we were still talking about, is this real? Is this going to happen? How are they going to have races? And here we are, well over 5 races. 5 Nitro Outlaw Series races, and then you've got a big Pro Mod race, and with many of the other races around it supporting such major events for the IHRA, and it's alive, and it does seem well, and it's moving forward, and they're buying other properties such as Rockingham Speedway. They have bought Memphis International Raceway, Memphis Motorsports Park, and intend to bring it back to glory, possibly even with keeping in mind and having, once again, the road course, the oval being redone, and certainly the drag strip. And paying out a whole lot of money for the racers. Some of those events being a part of what they're calling the Triple Crown events. 3 races that will take place. Those 3 races will give you an opportunity as a racer, if you can win all 3, to earn $1 million. And mind you, it's not just the $1 million. No. If you win a race out of the $1 million set to possibly win within the Triple Crown, ladies and gentlemen, that's $150,000 just there. So the potential is, I assume, if you win all 3, that's 3 times 150,000, then multiply it with $1 million. And obviously you can see here by the image some good first round money too. So it's good in drag racing right now. It is a good time. Speaking of it good, and speaking of drag racing in the spotlight, very cool thing today. You could watch, and you can watch, I think it's still going on, the U.S. Street Nationals on Amazon Prime. So Flow Drag Racing is still producing it. But this second race of the Winter Series, the U.S. Street Nationals at Bradenton Motorsports Park, if you had Amazon Prime, you could watch it live all day today. Now, it's just today. Tomorrow, you will need your Flow subscription, Flow Racing subscription. But this was great for Bradenton Motorsports Park, U.S. Street Nationals, Drag Illustrated Winter Series, for drag racing to be on Amazon Prime. And when I fired up Amazon Prime on my TV in my living room earlier today, and I scroll over to sports, the sports tab, I see there's NBA games advertised, and there are other stick and ball sports advertised at the professional level, and you have professional drag racing in the same search option bar, the same menu bar, rather, of opportunities of things to watch. It was third, right there above it, NBA. That's good for drag racing. That is good for drag racing. So, to the Drag Illustrated team, everyone involved, congratulations. That is big, and so glad that drag racing was able to be exposed in that way all day, live and on that platform. I hope we see more of it. I hope that the NHRA and the International Hot Rod Association will do more of that very thing as well. Speaking of the NHRA, what have you thought? What do you think of Chasing Speed? That premiered Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Vice TV. And by the way, if you missed it, as I didn't have the time to watch the actual premiere. They dropped it early Thursday morning for everyone to watch on Vice TV YouTube, which was also connected to, I believe, this Vice Sports YouTube channel. So it was able to air on platforms such as DirecTV and Dish TV, Hulu, elsewhere, and then you put it on a platform of like 3-4 million subscribers on YouTube. That is a great move by the NHRA. I thought it was well done. Thought it was a good look. It was a great introduction into the sport to set up a story to follow and like who are some of the major players if you didn't know anything about drag racing. And that's something that's significant about this docuseries. I don't think it's really aimed toward you and I as the hardcore drag racing fan. It's geared toward those who do not know the sport. They have not encountered it. And I feel like they did a really good job of providing some hooks. Now, you and I all know that with that premiere, with that first episode, the drag racing world has radically changed since then. And I like that. Because if you watched it and you continue to watch it and you watch it all the way up to the Gator Nationals, and that's what it's going to do is it releases each Wednesday up to the Gator Nationals at 9 p.m. on Vice TV, and then Thursday mornings on the YouTube side of matters. If you're watching, if you're tuned in, I don't know what else we're going to see. I don't know how far it goes. From my understanding, this was filmed earlier in the season. You see some of the players like Jasmine, Austin Prock, and what he's saying. But you come to the Gator Nationals and you tune in for the first time, and Austin Prock is not in a forced car, your mind will explode. And I think you're that much more tuned in and hooked on what is about to happen in 2026. So good timing on the NHRA for year 75, rolling it into the Gator Nationals. I thought it was well done, well produced, and looking forward to what they're going to continue in coverage with that program. By the way, they are working on Jason Galvin, announcer, NHRA. He's been in my comment sections on the Monday Morning Racer Facebook page, letting folks know. I've been trying to let folks know. They realize there's an issue with not being able to watch the YouTube version of it outside of the United States of America. They are working on it. I can tell you from experience as a small-time YouTuber, YouTube can be tricky at times. I would not be shocked if it's not a music issue in some shape, form, or fashion. Once they get it resolved worldwide, you'll be able to watch on YouTube. But I'm very glad that content-wise they've done it this way too. If you want to see the premiere, if you just can't wait, you got to see it when it first drops. You're that type of person. You can see it on Vice TV where it is found. And they've got a channel search finder at vicetv.com. Use it to your advantage. But if you're willing to wait, they're also dropping it on YouTube, and that's putting it in the algorithm and getting it in front of people that may not have ever seen it, because the people following Vice TV and Vice Sports, they're people with Vice Sports and Vice TV that may be more familiar with wrestling and may be more familiar with stick and ball sports, because Vice in their docuseries elements has really become well known because of what they've done looking into wrestling. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know you may think that drag racing is the greatest sport on the planet, and I don't necessarily disagree with you, but you do know that like wrestling's more popular. So if you can be able to connect with a platform such as Vice that deals with more popular elements of entertainment, you are exposing yourself to a group that wants to be entertained and can be entertained. And we know from the past, well, wrestling and drag racing certainly have a connection. Wrestling and motorsports do go hand in hand. I grew up on WCW. I was a Sting fan. I had on this very show many moons ago Stevie Ray, and he was talking about how he got that win with the WCW car, and Steve Grissom there at Daytona, and like that was one of the greatest moments of his life. And then Jerry Tolliver and Chuck, Jim Epler and Tolliver and the WWF cars, the funny cars in drag. I mean, great platform to be on. And I'm glad the sport's getting this exposure. So I hope you liked it. I thought it was well done. I think it's big for the sport. No telling what will be ahead of us. Got some good things going on right now for drag racing. Well, before we move on, let's go to the comment section. Let me take a look at it. I thank you all for diving in. I appreciate it, and see what you all are saying. Doug Core, the IHRA is here to stay. I hope so. I think that is the truth. Granted, I do want to be a bit cautious, not because of anybody involved in the IHRA, but because of the nature of drag racing and sustainability. The NHRA is the only one to go to 75. The IHRA has been around for decades in its sportsman's ranks. If you count just the sportsman ranks, it's had a tremendously long history in its own right. But the professional categories, it certainly suffered many years ago. Glad to see it back. I want to be a touch cautious, but nonetheless, I think you are right. It is here to stay. Randy Johnson mentioning he's watching it on YouTube. It's a beautiful thing to be able to watch it on YouTube. I watched it on YouTube. I looked at my options and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to watch it on any of the platforms that Vice TV is on. But when I read the full post from Brian Loans, read a full post, didn't just assume that it's only come out in one place. A lot of times, folks, if you will read the whole post, you'll get all the information. Just as in my post, it will be released on YouTube later. So glad that they're doing that. I watched it on YouTube as well. Hey, remember, hit the like button when you do watch it, whoever you are out there. Randy Johnson, he says, IHRA seems to be in the hopper on Atlanta with the decision coming early February. Rumor about San Antonio also. Yes, they're still in the hunt concerning Atlanta. From everything I understand, they've been eyeing Atlanta for a while now, but the ball is rolling in earnest concerning Atlanta Dragway there in Commerce, Georgia. There are things coming up within county council or city council, if I remember correctly, that directly pertain and in a positive fashion towards the property that is the drag strip. And then San Antonio, man, there's a beautiful drag strip sitting down there that would be a great purchase, depending on how far they're going to purchase and depending on how far they're going to broaden the portfolio. San Antonio, that drag strip would be a great drag strip to have back under the IHRA banner, this time actually owned by the IHRA, not just being sanctioned by it, though it would be by being owned by the IHRA. So, I see Dujane Bland's comment. It was definitely on par with every other form of sports. I assume you're speaking of the show. I think the show, the Chasing Speed, yes, the quality and how they did it, I felt like I was watching something that I have watched about football, about baseball, about wrestling. And that was good. That was good. So, ladies and gentlemen, look, I want to thank Michael Narks and Eric White, Drag, Drive, Repeat, once again for coming on the show, talking about Drag and Drive. I got to experience it at Hot Rod Drag Week about 3 years ago, covering that event, and was blown away. It is truly unique. If you have never been able to go to a Drag and Drive event, you need to do it. If you can take the time to follow along, do that. It is a great culture within drag racing. Hey, remember, we've got the Streetcar Nationals U.S. Streetcar Nationals to enjoy this weekend, and we are stepping closer and closer and closer to full song in motorsports and in drag racing. Hey, speaking of racing, the Daytona 24 Hours, the Rolex Daytona 24 Hours is taking place this weekend. There is a drag racing connection. Remember, Bartone Brothers Racing, yeah, the world champions in top alcohol funny car. Well, there's a sports car side, and they are in the GTD. Jacob, right? GTD? Yeah, GTD field. There's a lot of GT fields, it seems like. But GTD field, and they qualified 7th, so they will be in participation in the Daytona 24-hour this weekend. So be pulling for that black Jolly Roger car out there in GTD, and tune in, man. Been some great racing already. I watched the Mazda races. They already had that. Those were some good races for sure down there at Daytona. You know, I would love to see drag racing take place on pit road at Daytona International Raceway. You know why? Because actually, the first Winter Nationals wasn't Pomona. Dig in on that. Folks, thank you for tuning in here on Between the Slicks, episode 192. We will continue to chat it up concerning drag racing right here on Monday Morning Racer and Between the Slicks. We'll be live again, and we'll let you know when that is. Until next time, God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal. Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils-infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom fling.